All right. Good morning, everyone. We're so excited here. Let me try and figure out how to get this showing right. Hold on just a second. Hmm. Well, I'm resorting to my phone today because my computer is thinking a lot. And it's not allowing me to do anything at the moment. So we're a little bit technically challenged this morning. Bear with me. We're going to just make it work. Okay. Well, it is what it is this morning. Good morning, everyone. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the mindset behind building network marketing. It sounds simple enough, and yet when we come in, a lot of us have never had experience to the degree that we want to, right? We have these lofty goals, we have these lofty intentions, and we don't necessarily change the thinking. And if we don't change the thinking, the actions don't change because we get hardwired to old habits, old processes, and history has a way of repeating itself. So if you're coming in and you want to achieve more, you want to achieve a higher rank, you want to achieve a higher paycheck than you have in the past, there are some things that you need to be aware of that go on in your head. So that's what we want to talk about today. There's 7 things specifically that I want to touch really quickly. So grab a piece of paper, here we go. The first one I want to talk to you about is it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a case of one step at a time to cross a huge journey, but being consistent and persistent and having the right attitude will help you stay on that path and finish your journey. Number 2 is work on you. We need to be spending almost half the time that we're putting into our business each day building you, and then the other half on intensive action that's going to turn the needle, actions that are literally going to build your check, build your team. That doesn't mean plugging into Zooms or doing things that are team oriented unless you have guests with you. Then it counts, then it matters. But spend half the time working on you, and it doesn't have to be the prime time hours. So we've always chosen to build ourselves in the off hours and save those primetime hours when people are most available after work or on the lunch hour for building the business portion. But build yourself any chance you get. If you've got to drive to work and you're sitting in rush hour traffic, I hope that you're surrounding yourself with something that's going to build you as a person and get your vibration higher. I hope that if you're doing mundane tasks, if you're mowing the lawn or you're doing the dishes, they have great AirPods now that you can actually drown out almost any noise. I was listening yesterday while I was vacuuming and I could hear just perfectly fine. So I never do a mundane task without having something positive going on in my ear. You can follow YouTubes. There's hundreds of thousands of them, if not millions, that are free. And you can literally listen all day if you want to, if you can, to positive things. So make sure that you are doing enough to be able to grow yourself. And then don't wish that it was easier. Wish that you were stronger. Wish that you were better. That's a Jim Rohn statement from long ago. You want to make sure that you're not wishing away the experience, but you are growing into the experience. You're learning as you're earning. This is a process. Everybody has to grow and be able to learn the steps in this industry. It doesn't just happen overnight. Number 3 is treat it like a job. Number 3, treat it like a business or treat it like a job, whichever you can imagine. If you've been a business owner before, we prefer you treat it like a business. That's the higher level of thinking. But if you don't even know what that means, then treat it like a job. Would you hire yourself if you were doing the current actions that you're doing? Take a good long look in the mirror. Are you doing enough that if you were the employer, you would want you working for you? And how much would you pay you for what you're doing? Think about that. If you want to earn $1,000 a week, you want to earn $4,000 a month, What does that look like if you were the employer? What would you be asking that person to do if you were going to pay them $1,000 a week? Would talking to one person and following up with three be enough? No. More likely, you'd be wanting them to do one quick overview. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out presentation, but a 15, 20-minute presentation, an hour for an 8-hour stretch. If they're working full time to be paid $1,000 a week, that's 8 presentations a day times 5 days a week. That's 40 presentations a week to earn $1,000 a week. Seems fair if you're the employer, but are you doing enough to warrant that kind of a paycheck? Or let's say you are working a full-time job and you only have part-time you can put into this. So if you only had 3 hours a day that you could build, could you do 3 presentations during that time? 15 minutes in an hour is definitely doable. Hone in your presentation and get it dialed into where you can present it short. Or get in the habit of, are you open to looking at if I sent you this? And send them a presentation and then take that 15 minutes. That takes all of what, 2 minutes at most if you're typing slowly or calling slowly. Then take that 15 minutes to follow up that same hour. Don't wait 2 days to follow up. If you know they're watching the presentation right now, follow up in 30 or 40 minutes and use that 15 minutes to follow up. Could you follow up with 3 people that had just watched the presentation in 3 hours? I think you could, but we need to make sure that the time that we're putting into our business each day is intentional and it's done with proper perspective to where we're getting the results. Just shuffling around your materials and organizing and alphabetizing your tools that you're using, or plugging into, this call after this Zoom after this with no one with you, does not build your business. It just simply takes time. Now, if you're coming onto the Zooms to learn how to present, that's a teaching period. That's perfectly acceptable, but be taking notes, be learning so that you're growing, so that then the next day you can turn around and implement it and build your business. Treat it like a job. Number 4, stay on top of your emotions. This is critical. People did not join your business to be harped on by a boss. They don't want to hear your down days. They don't want to hear your frustrations. If you have something that really needs to be resolved, take it upline, respectfully and professionally, and get it handled. It's not just a complain fest. Stay on top of your emotions when you're in your quiet time alone. It's normal to feel like you want to quit sometimes. I think everybody in the industry goes through it. I was listening to a leader a couple of days ago, and he said, I used to feel that 100 times a day. Now I'm successful enough, I might feel it once a day. But we still feel it. There are days that you're just like, this is not worth it. This is too hard. I'm working too hard and not getting paid enough. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But you're going to have those moments. The only person that can determine whether you're going to get to the top and change your life and create your retirement and live the life that you envision is you. So when you're in those quiet moments, know what your why is so big and so strong that it doesn't stick, it doesn't change your course. You just feel it, acknowledge it, and let it go, and go back to the basics, go back to building your business. If you really hit a low, call your upline and get back on an even keel. But it's up to you to control your emotions. As babies, we're taught to self-soothe. Well, you're going to have to do it again in this business, because you're facing all sorts of new emotions and new hurdles and new things in order to grow. It is a natural process. If you want to grow, you have to go through some of that pain. There's no way to avoid it. It is a natural law of the universe. If a plant has to grow, it has to push through rocks and dirt and soil before it hits the light and all of a sudden feels that moment of coming out. We all have to experience some of that to grow. So if it's hard, congratulations, you're growing. If it hurts or it's feeling like it's more difficult than you want to go through, don't stop, because you could be right at the end of that push, and then all of a sudden it breaks through to the light. So don't quit. The only person that suffers, main person that suffers is you. But ultimately, the other people that suffer are the people that you would have talked to and the people that they would have talked to and the lives that they would have changed. Sometimes we get in the mindset of trying to sell to people and that we need them. The reality is they need us. They need the hope that we bring. They need the products that we have. They need the hope of financial benefit that we carry. They need control back of their time to do the things that are most important. So remember that what you're doing is really making an impact on them. It's not what they give to you. So you quitting has an impact that can ripple to hundreds of thousands of people whose lives could have been better. So self-soothe, get back on your vibration level, bring it back up again. There's lots of YouTubes that can help you do that. Jump on our Rev call every morning. That goes into number 5. Number 5 is plug into the system. We have a call every morning that revs people up, that helps them think about personal growth, that teaches them some principle that's going to help us all become better people. So you can jump onto that Rev call. It's 8 a.m. Mountain Time every Monday through Friday. And you can jump on that and you can actually grow and learn along with the rest of us. That's part of the system if you want to use it. It's optional, but it's in that kind of off time of the day when we hope people are doing personal growth and we just choose to do it together as a team. The company has update calls and you can plug onto those and learn and get motivated by what's going on with the company. But if that's the whole time you have to build your business, don't get on that call. You need to be calling someone new, because the system ultimately is fined for people who want to do this as bad or more than you do. And you might have to sift and sort through 100 or, I don't know how many. Maybe you'll go through 10, maybe you'll go through 50. Maybe you'll go through 200, but it doesn't matter. If your dream is big enough and your why is big enough, you sift and sort until you find the people that want it as much as you do. And oftentimes it's not the people that you personally enroll. Oftentimes it's somebody 4 or 5 levels down from them that wants it as bad as you do. But the responsibility is find one in each leg that wants it as bad as you do, and then stay with them and help them start building their team. And the system is the 500 Club. Help people launch properly, bringing in 10 people in a 90-day period, and then going A3, and then finding one in each leg to go A3, pushes you to A6. It's all incrementally spelled out. If you're not sure what the system is, go to actives.info, and there is information all over there that explains the system. The getting started page, the training page, the fast start page. You can jump on there and learn the system step by step, because ultimately it is your business, but you're not in this alone. We have paved the path. It's not as rocky and uphill as it used to be. You can literally just stay in the footsteps of the person in front of you and take the easier path, but you still have to get some of the rocks out of your shoes. You're still going to get some blisters along the way. There's still a price to be paid, but the system is laid. If you'll just follow the system, you can reach your goal, whatever it might be. Number 6 is critical. Number 6 is associations. Get to know the people on your team. Be there with them. Be friends with them. If you're close enough that you can do gatherings and get-togethers, do that on a regular basis. My suggestion is make sure you're getting together with anybody that's around you when it's active school. We don't have to pay to go long distances, leave our families, get babysitters, pay the gas or the airline, get a hotel, pay for the food, and then pay for the event. We don't have to do any of that, but we do have to plug in. And so if we're plugging in just from our phone and we're all kind of missing that connection, we're only getting half of the benefit of active school. So if you can, if it's at all possible, get together, do a potluck breakfast or do something fun and listen to active school together as a team and create those associations. That's the glue of your team. People will stay with you even if they're not making a dime, because they like the team. They like the positive uplift. The whole world right now, if you listen to the news, you listen to social media, you listen to this or that, it's bringing down the vibration. You want to be associating with people that are going to bring up the vibration. So if you are that associative uplift for your team, they're going to want to stay in regardless of what's happening with their business until they figure out the rest of it. So be that glue for your team. We're all going to become, they say, the people that we associate with. So if the people in your life, in your direct life, are not lifting your vibration, It's more important than ever that you be listening to the positive things, that you be watching the positive YouTubes, because you can spend that time and have somebody in your ear helping you build yourself and helping you build your vibration. They say that you should not be the top of that five. If you're the one that's trying to lift everyone around you, the only way you can go is down, or even it's hard to lift if there's nothing to lift to. So if you're leading your little clan, it's important that you are having somebody in your ear that's made millions of dollars a month, or that's gone to the top of the mountain multiple times, or something that you haven't achieved yet that you want to achieve, so that you're not the top of that five. And then make sure that you're protecting yourself from putting in any more negative than is necessary. We control what goes into our computer so that it can help control what comes out and what creates the reaction in our life. Number 7 is don't compare. You're going to hear about people coming in and growing really fast, or you're going to hear about this explosion in this team or this rank advance in that team. Don't compare. A lot of times the fast growth disappears just as fast. Not always, and we don't want to wish that on anyone, but unless it's formed on relationships and on real value, it's just as stable as the next fancy thing that goes across the internet, and all of a sudden their attention is drawn just as quickly somewhere else. So they're either going to be doing, fast growth through just harvesting really fast, which, like I said, can end just as fast if they're not creating that stability of relationships, or they've come in from another team and they're bringing people with them. That means that they had to put in the work somewhere else. It's not a shortcut. It's not that they had an easier trail. They had to pay the price somewhere. They had to do it there. If you haven't done that already, you're going to have to do it here. But it's worth it. You're going to feel like on days that you are pushing that boulder alone and that you are underpaid and overworked. But let me tell you a secret. The day will come when a tipping point will happen within your business. And it happens for everyone who doesn't get off the path and doesn't stop pushing, doesn't stop talking to people, doesn't stop recruiting, doesn't stop helping their team recruit, doesn't stop creating more A3s, and doesn't stop doing consistent and persistent presentations on a regular basis, enough to create momentum. But if you'll stay on that trail, the day will come when all of a sudden you're pushing with friends, with team members, and it becomes fun again. And they're feeling the rocks in their shoes, and they're feeling the blisters, and you're seeing that there's daylight ahead. You're seeing that there's hope ahead. And as soon as you reach that point, that pinnacle of the mountain, when one day you realize that you're getting paid what your time is worth, the second you realize that, it's all going to be downhill in a positive way from then on. And it becomes really fun and really easy, and you're helping make a difference in people's lives. And your check is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because what you're doing in those first days is putting in the work and not seeing the money quite yet. But once you reach that point where you're making what your time is worth, you're going to be overly paid for underworking for the rest of your life. Now, I don't want to paint the picture that you can just retire and run off into the sunset. We want you to continue to help people and bless people, because you got to where you were, or are at that point, because somebody above you was willing to take the time to lend a helping hand and to lift you and help you up the mountain. If you just disappear and go off and do a year-long cruise around the world, well, good for you, but that's going to leave all these people floundering on the mountain that don't know the next step. So do for others what they don't know that they can do for themselves until they know they can. As I quote my husband, Eric, it's one of his favorite statements. But somebody did that for you to get you where you are. And so then you pay it forward. And when you have leader, backed by leader, backed by leader, and there's going to be people in between. This is finding those people that have the dream that is as big as yours. When you've found that, then you have stability in your team. And at that point, you can start to pull back and either go build a second business center or spend more time with the family or whatever it is that you want to do. Don't ever check out completely. They need to feel you in their leg. They need to feel you in their team. Know that you're still there. You're doing meetings or phone calls down through that team, and make sure that the people at the top know that you're working in their team. It's just a constant process, but it doesn't need to be all out massive action as heavy as it was in the early days. But that's the long-term vision. I just want you to know it's coming. Right now, we have to have the wherewithal to keep putting one foot in front of the other and doing it at a pace that we would actually be proud to hire ourselves to be a good worker, because you're not just at a job, you're building your business. Guys, Rome was not built in a day. Rome was built one brick at a time by people who put labor and back into it. Maybe not of their own free will, but they did the effort. And some people that just sat in the corner and played with the straw, look at the people who built the temples and built the palaces, and they wonder, why not me? Well, if you never take the time to build the brick, you cannot build Rome. So what do you want to build with this business? Do you want to build a retirement? Do you want to build a legacy that will live on years after you're gone? Or do you want to play with straw in the corner? It's up to you. You know what your why is. You know what your dreams are. Just make sure that you're putting in the proper mindset and the proper work behind what your goals are to be able to see it through. That's it for us today. Thanks for being with us. Have a great Saturday, and just